Hi guys, so in this video I want to show you a bit of overview of the track I'm working on currently. It sounds like this. So yeah, I just thought that I will give you a shout out of my creative process and logic behind putting all the layers together. So first, let's start with the low end. It's just a kick with a bit of a sappy pitch bending bass line, which I was explaining in the previous video. The link is above, so you can check out how to make this bass line. And then we have this pitch lead, which is again something I've showed you when I was doing a Mike Parker video, how to make his leads. Again, the link is on top. So basically we have this riff, basically playing one note, C, and there's like this whoop whoop, which I like to have something that is repetitive, something that is hypnotizing. And then I have a few controls, for example this, when I add another oscillator, I get those nice overtones, which then I can play with. So this could be a nice way to add tension in the composition at some point, or maybe help out with the transitions, some sort. I'm still not sure because the loop itself sounds already good, and I was listening to it a few minutes and I wasn't bored. So we had a low end, and then we have this percussion, which I think is driving the whole thing. So this is a really long take I recorded, and I strongly advise you to, when you have some cool groove, some cool sequence, and you have some parameters to automate it, just record it to audio. It will be much easier to work with. So I've created that patch from this sound. So I use this sequencer, Euclidean Sequencer Pro, which gives you a really great possibility to escape or get out of the 2 or 3 divisions that are present here in the clip, MIDI clip. So here we can divide a clip with this sequencer. We can divide a clip by 5, by 4, by, I don't know, 7, 8, whatever. So basically that was my basis, and then I was just recording myself, adding next layers, experimenting with adding some more repetitions. If you don't know what the Euclidean sequencer is, check out this on YouTube. I will link some cool video explaining this in the description. So I recorded that with a bit of analog collapse, which is a preset for echo, and it was just a few shots taken from Ableton library. And yeah, as you can hear and see, this is the recording, and on the recording I have a cool thing going on, which is a bit of first we have compressor, EQ, and then we have this guy called Filter Mini, which is basically a filter from Arturia, which has this nice sequencer built in, and I've automated the LFO to the resonance. Oh, so now we get those cool overtones, but I don't want to go that high. So without it, it sounds okay, but I think it just adds that a bit of movement, which again for the hypnotic techno is all we need. Some hypnotic, repetitive, moving patterns that will keep everything going. And then we have this rhythm, which again I've taken just a groove from here called Kuduro. If you don't know how to do it, I was also showing this in the video, link is above. So I've modulated a bit this groove to fit more the style, and I've added free plugin called Valhalla Supermassive, to add that kind of like a, this is without the whole processing. Let's group it. Yeah, so we get this interesting rhythmic variation which we can modulate a bit at some point. So I think I will use that on some transitions, and then compressor just to move the kick or the flow with the kick better. And then I've used utility because I'm thinking like I want to have my bass line and my kick and my hi-hats here in the mid section, and I want to have the percussion on the side. So again, this is a creative decision. You might approach it different way. But I also have these shakers, which I will explain in the next video how to do it. So let's show the shakers. So in the high end, they are playing the stereo. So with this guy, yeah, that would be too much. And then I have a simple open hi-hat with a bit of ghost notes. Alright, so then we have this guy, drone effects, which I've recorded from the wet rack, which I was, which you could have from the 38 free racks. The link is in the description and above, as well as the sub. I've also gave you this rack for free, so check out this rack if you still don't have it. So I was just playing with some notes here, and with the attack to get some tones, and I've recorded the audio, and I like to really have the audio, then I can play with different elements. So this is this layer, and I think composition wise it contrasts really well all the percussive elements and the kind of like staccato sound and beat. So when you create a track and you are wondering what kind of layer you should add next, think of in terms of like contrast. You have staccato sound, and then you have something that has long notes that will kind of like create a cushion for all the other elements, as well as think in terms of layers in the frequency spectrum. I also was showing that, link is above to that video. So yeah, I think this kind of region around 1-2K is really neglected. And it used to be neglected in my track, so I need something that will fill out the spectrum here. Alright, so next we have this guy. This is the ambience recorded from that sample actually. So at some point I can play this. I don't know if I'm gonna use it or not. And then from that sample, with the help of wall stretch, I've created this kind of really like party thing, which also has that evolving tone, which we're gonna hear in a second, which I think really works well with this whole track. We have this drift cricket. It's also available in the 38 free Hypnotic racks. Let's come back to this. And then we have this guy here on the back. Sorry, my head doesn't want to disappear. Alright, there we go. Which is a bit of foldy sound. I'm gonna make it louder so you can hear it. And I'm just having it, yeah, modulated by flanger, a bit of echo and EQ, and that's it. And that's just to sit. So if I switch off some layers, yeah, there is something going on. And there is this guy, Fog of Time, which was a preset available, I guess, on the Ableton Ableton site. You can check out, and it just adds that bit of white noisy kind of thing that static auto pan as well, just to have a bit of more of stereo with that sound. And I think it works really well with that sound. Yeah, so they layer together and kind of like one appears in the other. So yeah, with such a really long recording, which evolves, which has a bit of modulation, with all of that sound, it should be fairly easy to make an arrangement, and I will show you the arrangement in a moment. Alright, so 40 roughly minutes after the first half, and this is the first draft of the arrangement. Let's hear it. I'm just looping that sound of 32 bars. I'm adding a bit of automation so it grows. So we start with the groove, and that percussion kind of like becomes more present over time. Since we have this automation, I can basically leave it as it is for 32 bars. It would still be flowing. I have some effects. Maybe that's a bit too much. I've only used a bit of that. With really long feedback and a bit of resonance, so it kind of like stays in the back. Now is the full groove. Again, automation on shakers and their volume, so they kind of like grow over time. I like when things evolve, not so abruptly, like, alright, there is a new sound, but they just enter. Maybe a bit too much of this. Maybe that wasn't necessary. Then we leave the 16 hats. Shakers fade away once again. And we are going to have modulation on pitch. It's kind of like tension moment, a bit more ambience. And we have this guy growing. Maybe I should open that filter a bit as well. Effect. And the release. Maybe that's too early for them. one thing I did, I've added open hi-hat, and I've changed the 16 pattern. So we had over here we had this sound, and then we have the same pattern played on the different, which is nice way to introduce some variation and basically playing the same but with different sound. I always recommend doing that. Super simple trick, yet super effective, because it kind of like sounds slightly different, like we evolved in some way, and we still like, this is very repetitive, but with those nuances it is interesting, and we'll work on the dance floor. And we have those cool automation. Yeah, so when I was recording this, I was changing the tempo of the repetition, and this creates that kind of like, which works perfectly here on the transition. And again, somewhere over here. Because here's like a mini outro, and then proper outro is here. Maybe we can actually automate the feedback a bit. One trick I like to use as well, to automate feedback, just to make things more interesting. There was this technique I showed you above. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. We are entering the outro. So that's a rough arrangement. What I will do now is like, I will export it, I will drop it on SoundCloud, I will listen it on different speakers. Maybe I will be riding on the bike or just riding on the tram or something, just to go into that listener's ear, and then I will make notes, what doesn't work, what works. Maybe I will have a chance to play this track in my gig, and I will fine tune it over a few weeks, months, I don't know, and we'll probably it needs more time to be ready, but I'm happy with it, and I hope you've learned something along the way of me explaining my flow and how I approach both the composition and the record and the arrangement of that track. And to be honest, it took me maybe 3-4 hours to make it, so I highly recommend you to work fast, to move with the ideas, because it makes a lot of sense, and creativity loves speed. Okay, we fall into feedback. All right, take care, have a good time, and if you want to learn more, check out this video on your right side when I will show you how I mix deep techno track. Bye.